Alright, so I've got clean water here. It's very important when you are playing with watercolors and especially mixing them that you have a fresh glass of water, because that's when you will see the accurate look of these colors. So color that I'm not familiar with is this Cascade green. So I'm just going to move it here. You can see when you start painting with it, it looks like just a turquoise, but when it dries, look at that. It looks very different, doesn't it? And I'm just going to take that nickel azu yellow and show you what happens when you introduce it into other colors. Isn't that just gorgeous? Both colors are so vibrant and so strong that they're just glowing off the paper. They are beautiful together. Very, very interesting. I'm going to do the same thing with undersea green and see what happens when we introduce nickel azu yellow back into the color, because we obviously already have that color in there. Let me just move things around. I mean, look at the color of this water. It's sort of glowing just from those two. Okay, I'm just going to move these to the side like that. Okay, so I do want to see what happens now. Look how beautiful this is. This is just gorgeous. And that's why it's so interesting to add these colors that have this separation. When you just mix two flat colors together, you will never get that. So this one is a little bit more muted. Let me do that also with the green Apatite. So those are the three greens in this collection. I'm expecting something interesting in here as well, because it's also quite a vibrant color. So let's do that. We will have a closer look once they dry. Well, let's actually look at Lunar Blue now. That's an interesting color as well. So it's got like a dimension to it. It dries really quickly. So this color is great to work from the tube. It takes a while to wake it up if you use it in like a pan when it's dried up. So I would recommend to use it straight out of a tube. Okay, so let's try and put that Ochre pink into this and see what happens when we get a purple. And it should be an interesting purple. And I also want to, now my water is quite dirty, and so the colors will get a little bit affected by that. So I'm tempted to go and kind of clean the water out again. So I'm going to use that beautiful Aussie red gold, and I want to add a bit of that Ochre pink into it now and see what happens. You get a really gorgeous red, like a glowy red almost. If you added a bit more of this Ochre pink, like that. And let's see what happens when we take this Aussie red gold and mix it with quinacridone magenta, which is also a very, very strong color. Gosh, I love what happened here. It's such a beautiful color. Okay, so here we go. Quinacridone magenta. Off it goes. That's a very beautiful, almost matches my nail polish color. Let's just swatch it out next to it, like that. It's like a burgundy wine type of color. Very pretty. I'm just gonna go straight into, back into the Aussie red and then just mix it into here. Interesting. And you can see how bright this palette is. It's like on steroids. It's beautiful. Okay, I'm just going to clean out the water because you can see it's very dirty now and it just would not represent the other colors correctly. I hope you can see this beautiful veining that you get from the Lunar Blue when mixing it with other colors. I suppose you would do the similar thing with not just Opera Pink, but it's just gorgeous. I'm just going to bring it up close again. Very beautiful. So if you ever need that texture in your painting, then that's what you would get it from. Okay, so these colors are really stunning. So if I'm still looking at the wet colors right here, this is gorgeous bit right here. So I really love it because you can actually see the Aussie red gold still shining through, like glowing through the Queen Magenta right here, which is just beautiful. So I absolutely love this. I think this gives you a good understanding. I'm not going to go ahead and mix all of them. I think it gives you a really good understanding of how bright and beautiful the colors are that she picked for this palette. But what I want to do now is play around with mixing skin tones with yellow ochre and the Opera Pink. So I'm going to switch to a smaller brush now, and I'm going to use the Silver Black Velvet in A6. Okay, so I've got a little palette here, and I'm going to take this yellow ochre and see what kind of skin tones we can get. So I'm making 3 mixes here, so quite strong, diluted, and even more diluted. And I'm going to do a similar thing with that Opera Pink. So I'm going to go in with quite a bit of color to begin with. And that's obviously too much. But let's just see. I mean, maybe one day I'd want to use that for like a cheek. That looks quite pretty. So if I really would then go ahead and start mixing it out. It's a pretty color, actually. It's sort of like a peach color. I wouldn't have thought that I could bring it to this tone with that very bright glowing Opera Pink. So that's a good, that's good to know. So I'm going to go add a little bit more of this pink into the next one. And again, I'm going to start with that. And it's less peachy now, as you can see, it's more neutral. So I'm just diluting it like that. But I also actually am going to add a little bit more of it in a minute. So this is very diluted to start with. And we're going to dilute it even further. And now it is starting to look like skin tone. Very pretty, actually. Right, so now I'm going to go back into yellow ochre and really load my brush, and we're almost back to where we started. So I'm just going to keep on diluting this. There is a hint of that ochre pink, which is very much just very lightly there, like present, but very lightly. The color of the mixing water is very pretty right now. If you could see it, it's like a peach juice. And let's see. Oh, this looks really beautiful now that it has dried. Gorgeous color. And then I'm going to add a bit of this into here. And also take it out. So we kind of went from these peachy into a bit too much of the yellow ochre again. So I will go back and add just a tiny little hint of it. And now you have to really play, because you can see it's going from there to there very quickly. So you just really have to mix it until you are happy with the mixes that you get. That's a good mix right here. I really like this and this row. They're very pretty colors. I think these are the closest to skin tones. So I'm just going to add a little bit more, see what happens. Yeah, so a little bit of that ochre pink takes it back to that peachy skin tone, which looks really, really pretty. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. And actually, what's going to happen if I'm going to add quinacridone magenta? So that's quite muted. Actually works quite well as a skin tone as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and just finish these off. Okay, right, so I'm just going to quickly dry these and come back. Okay, so I hope the video is not too long, but I just wanted to do a quick summary and again show you how beautifully bright these are, and very interesting Cascade green with the nickel azu yellow mix, the colors that you get here and the feathering and the bluing of it into one another is just out of this world. It's super, super beautiful, and the color that is created in the center here is very strong, and it's a color on its own, whereas you can see in the following two examples, the color that you get in the middle is sort of very close resemblance to nickel azu yellow, with a little bit of each color in there. However, here when you look at this color, it's not this one and it's not that one, so you do get a completely new color created with these two. So it goes to show how very strong and dominant these two colors are, and that you can create beautiful colors mixing them together as well as using them on their own. And the other color combination that I really liked was the ones with the Aussie red gold, because the color is very strong. You can really create some interesting colors with it. And then we went on to the skin tones, and yes, opera pink is actually very useful. However, it sort of creates more of a like a peachy light skin tone. If you wanted to work more with darker skin tones, I actually went ahead with behind the camera and mixed some of the yellow ochre with quinacridone magenta, and that creates a lovely dark skin tone, and it's very very sort of delicious looking, and you could go as transparent with it as you want to, so you got loads of variation there. And then for just light skin tones, this is where the Opera Pink has when you add just a little bit of it, it kind of creates this beautiful luscious peachy kind of look. However, if you add a little bit more of it, you have to be really careful because it will separate a little bit, and then you get these uber bright speckles of the Opera Pink settling on your paper, which is probably not what you would want for a skin tone. So you'd have to be a little bit careful with it when mixing. But yeah, so this is it for Jean Haines Daniel Smith watercolor set, with a bit of extra of mixing skin colors as well as recommended in her video. So thank you for watching and see you soon.